Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is my recap and review of the 90th Oscars. Tonight was the biggest night in cinema, and I have to say, I don't think it disappointed. Overall, the broadcast definitely did feel like it ran a little bit long and a little bit slow. But when we got to the big parts, where we got to the moments where it's supposed to excite and it's supposed to bring energy, I think it mostly did that. But of course, we're going to kick this recap and review off with that red carpet and talk about some of the best looks and some of the worst looks from tonight's ceremony. So kicking things off for my worst dressed of the evening, I have to start off with Andra Day. So she performed tonight, and the dress she performed her song with Common in was gorgeous, and she sounded amazing. Like, those vocals were just off the charts fantastic. However, the dress she arrived to the ceremony in, it was a baggy grandma's curtain mess. Like, it looked straight up upholstery just thrown on her body. They like bunched it in a couple places, just kind of like draped it over her. But this was horrible. I have no defense, no defending words for the outfit itself. Her face looked beautiful. But she really should sue whoever told her to put that on, because I think it is just dreadful. Emily Blunt, I know that you are preparing to play Miss Mary Poppins, but that doesn't mean you need to dress like you're 90 years old. I don't know what this Little House on the Prairie mess was, with this weird little like ruffling going on around here, that horrible doily looking lace pattern around the bosom area. It just was ugly. The dress was so old and Little House on the Prairie looking. I wasn't here for it. So there are plenty of people who can pull off a good pantsuit, including Emma Stone, because I've seen it before. However, this was not a good pantsuit. First of all, the jacket was just kind of ill-fitting. It didn't really do anything for her. And then she used this horrible pink fabric as the belt to kind of try to cinch it in the middle. It didn't work at all. It looked horrible. She just took one of those Hugh Hefner robes that he was known for wearing and cut off the bottom real quick and then like tied it together with some pink. It looked bad. This one I think may come back as kind of controversial, but I think Nicole Kidman looked horrible. I did not like the cut of the dress. First, it was cinched so tight. She looked so like anemically thin at the top. The breast area did not look good, and then she had this huge over-exaggerated bow around her midsection, and then with this slit up the front, the material it didn't move, it didn't give, and it all just looked kind of rigid and not great. Saoirse Ronan, didn't do it for me either. It looks like she put like a pink sack over her body and then threw this humongous bow and cape onto her back. I don't know. The fabric looked like cotton. I don't really even know what that fabric is. It looked weird and cheap. It looked like a paper bag, like a potato sack. And it didn't fit her well. The pink color against her flesh tone was far too understated. It didn't work. And then my final female to mention here is St. Vincent. I have a feeling a lot of people are going to like this. It's like edgy and cool and a fashion statement. And just, no. The only fashion statement this made to me was a mess. That huge, like, thing over her shoulder, the weird little cut in the front, and it looked like she was wearing some sort of, like, shorts dress. Like, I don't know what it was. It just, no. And then my only kind of pick for the men is Daniel Kaluuya. So I love Daniel Kaluuya. I didn't like the color he decided to go with. That, like, kind of ugly brown. It wasn't working for me. I think the fit and the color made him look a little bit more robust than he actually is. And it's mostly just the color, because otherwise I thought he looked fine. I liked the lapels. If it had just been a nicer color, he wouldn't have landed here. The rest of the males, I saw a few people in white suits, which I really like, but everybody else was in the typical kind of black, or they landed on my best of list. So let's kick things off with my best dressed man of the night, starting with Armie Hammer. He just has such a good style sense. I loved this like red crushed velvet. Oh, he pulled it off amazing. And I thought it worked. I thought it looked stylish. It looked fantastic. I was here for it. I was also here for Chadwick Boseman. He was channeling his inner T'Challa here. I loved the design that came down off the shoulders. I loved just the whole styling of it. It was very different. It was very unique, cool, sleek, but still very appropriate for the Oscars. I thought it worked. I loved the length of the coat. I loved the shoe. All good. Then I have Mario Lopez, who almost can do no wrong, but I loved that dark blue color of his suit that worked so well with just the understated black with the bow tie. This was stepping outside of the box without stepping all the way outside the box. It was just different enough to give it flair and still look very classy and nice. And then my final mention is Mahershala Ali, another instance where he went mostly all black, but everything on the undergarments matched with that crushed velvet coat on the top. The sports coat looked so good, and it looked so much better him doing it this way with the pants still being an understated black that matched the shirt with just the velvet coat instead of doing the whole suit in that material. Plus, I liked the hints of blue that came on up here. He just looked very sharp. Moving on to our best dressed women, a lot of these ladies just kind of looked gorgeous and radiant, so I wanted to include them, starting off with Gal Gadot. I thought she looked beautiful tonight, and she always looks beautiful, so that's not really a shock. But I think the dress was very gorgeous, it fit her figure well, the styling, the makeup, it all just worked. Greta Gerwig found a way to make her personal aesthetic and different out-of-the-box style work with an awards setting. And I thought she ended up looking like a quirky Disney princess. She looked so beautiful in this yellow. It still had that weird fabric draped over the top. Just an understated, nice necklace piece with the swooped hair. It looked very pretty. Jennifer Garner didn't wear anything that was necessarily groundbreaking or different, but I loved this bright blue on her. I love the flowing fabric and flowing material. It's in a cut we've seen plenty of times, but what really landed her here was that mug. I don't know what she did, but her makeup artist needs a raise because she looked absolutely stunning. Her hair looked stunning. It was just the whole package when it came to Jennifer Garner tonight. It looked wonderful. Laura Dern, I also thought looked fantastic. It was a simple white dress. It had a small embellishment here. It did have a nice cut down, and then the styling on the face and hair looked beautiful. So this is how you put weird things on your shoulder, but still maintain a nice cohesive look. I don't know if everybody else really liked what she wore, but I thought Sandra Bullock looked fantastic. I loved the gold to black color scheme. I thought this like wrap dress type of feel was really pretty and really complimentary to her. And then again, it was about that styling. Her whole look was very like sleek. And then she just had that slicked back hair that looked beautiful. The darker makeup, I thought she looked wonderful. Then we get to Miss Taraji P. Henson. I don't know that it's necessarily her dress that I loved, but she just looked fire. Like this was sex on the screen. She was so freaking hot tonight. Again, the makeup was working. I thought the dress was very unique and stylish. I loved the like little things on the arms. It all worked, and Taraji sold it. It was a standout on the red carpet and in the audience. I loved it. And then finally, Lupita Nyong'o, the fashion icon herself, continues to just kill it. And I think this year she's definitely gone a little bit more understated than she did, especially on her awards campaign, but really in most years past. And I just thought this was fantastic. As you can tell, I had a thing for like gold and black tonight, apparently, but I thought she just pulled it off great. I loved this like militaristic belt that went across with the little black embellishments, the gold studs. It all just looked so good. Of course, her face looked great. I loved it. And an honorary best dress tonight kind of is just going to lead me into my favorite moments of the evening in general, and that's Rita Moreno. I love that she wore the same dress that she won her Academy Award for. I thought she looked stunning. stunning. I think she actually looks better in that dress now than she did winning her award. But the sass when she came out, it worked. I love Rita Moreno. She's been on it this year. They've had her at pretty much all of the awards, and I'm just glad to see her getting her due respect. And she looked fabulous, and I just love that she came to slay tonight, and she did. So let's go ahead and move on to just the opening and Jimmy Kimmel himself. First of all, I just want to acknowledge the amazing stage and set production of tonight's ceremony. That stage was absolutely stunning. One of my favorite Oscar presentations for stage work in some time. I thought it looked gorgeous. And I thought all of the performances had very high stage value as well. I thought they really brought that production value up, and it worked. It looked great for each and every performance for the original songs. As for Jimmy Kimmel, I thought he was serviceable. He didn't get in the way too much, but he brought a couple fun bits. In particular, during his opening monologue, I thought there were pleasant jokes. There were no clunkers. There was nothing that made me cringe, certainly, but there was no standout in that opening monologue. It just kind of went along pleasantly and just kind of kept going along. What I didn't like was him giving a monologue that seemed to go on well past its welcome and kind of admonishing winners for going past their time, and it led to this joke about Lake Havasu later, but started with the jet skis. And I was like, okay, Jimmy Kimmel, you're really going to tell people, hey, you just won the biggest award in your industry, but please keep it brief while I come up here and suck up air and waste a bunch of time that could have went to your speech. I found that a little bit And that was Jimmy Kimmel's whole night, was chuckle here, chuckle there, kind of just breezily going through. It was pleasant, it was harmless. Then we got to that theater bit, which I admit I would have thought was pretty cool if they came into my movie theater. And let me just say, I'm a vegetarian. He said, don't shoot those hot dogs toward any of the vegetarians in the audience. Listen, I'll gladly accept any hot dog of any kind that Armie Hammer wants to shoot my way. But getting to see Gal Gadot, Margot Robbie, Guillermo del Toro, all these awesome people, Armie Hammer, I would have been plenty happy in that movie theater, and then gladly continued watching A Wrinkle in Time. But it wasn't really that funny of a gag. I did love that Gal Gadot was like, oh, this is way better than the Oscars, trust me. I was like, oh, okay, girl. I don't know how the Oscars producers are going to take you telling the audience in that theater that. Oh, but that poor guy. I don't know. I do always feel like it's a little bit weird and a little bit self-congratulatory and pandering when they do these audience bits. But I mean, it has to be fun for the people there. I certainly know that I would enjoy it well enough, but it always does feel a little bit pandering to the normal folk. So we should move away from doing these type of bits, especially every single year, I think. But we talked about both of them, Gal Gadot and Armie Hammer. They presented together tonight, and I've noticed a trend that they always pair Gal Gadot up with a very, very attractive guy. I think it was Chris Hemsworth at the last award show, the Golden Globes, but she is always presenting with an insanely attractive guy, which is hello. But I just find it funny that I think they are like, oh my god, we're going to have Gal Gadot present at the awards. Who can we put up there in which they can like at least stand their ground? And in doing so, it's like the bisexual highlight of the night. Seeing Gal Gadot with insert hot male presenter here. I like this trend. We can definitely keep it up. Other highlights for the night for me were the fact that we had two female teen presenters who just stole the show. The first one that really stole the whole show, and I am definitely agreeing with Film Twitter on this, when are we going to have a Tiffany Haddish, Maya Rudolph hosted Oscars? Next year maybe, because they were hilarious. They were by far the funniest part of the entire evening. Jimmy Kimmel wishes he had landed those type of jokes. I thought they were wonderful. We all love Tiffany Haddish at this point. She is hot, and one, get her on some more film projects, but two, her rapport with Maya Rudolph was so freaking good, and I loved it. So they were the highlight of the whole night for me when it came to presentations or gags, and Yeah, we need to get on getting them a hosting gig together. But I also thought that Jodie Foster and Jennifer Lawrence were actually really funny near the end of the night as well. They came out, presented Jodie Foster, on her crutches, talking about Meryl Streep, Tanya Harding to her. They kept talking about how nice Meryl was, and every time she was friendly at the little galas, it was all just acting. It was one of the best Meryl Streep gags and jokes that I think we've seen, because we see a lot of them at these award shows, and they just sold it, so I thought they were really funny. We also had the cast of Star Wars come out and present. I saw a lot of hate for them coming out to present, and the human-to-human interaction wasn't that great, I'll agree with you. But how cute was it having BB-8 out there? I mean, come on. And having him interact with Oscar Isaac, I was sold. I was done. I was having a good time. And when it came to the actual awards-winning speeches tonight, I loved Guillermo del Toro's speech. I thought it was wonderful that he came out and reminded us, hey, I'm an immigrant. Don't let me in as some basic white dude director to kind of take down male directors in terms of getting females in representation in the category. But I just thought he did it so eloquently. His story is so fantastic. He's such an amazing director. But from what we've heard from pretty much everyone in the industry, he's just a really friendly, amazing guy. So it was wonderful to see him get his due, but also I thought he delivered a wonderful speech, as did the members of Team Coco for both of their wins about representation mattering, and being of Latino descent, being of Spanish origin. It's wonderful to see us getting on the board, because I think sometimes being a part of one of the non-white or black communities, you do kind of feel like, of course I'm championing all minorities, because that's what I do as a person, is I'm championing everybody, but I like to see us get into the conversation sometimes too. So that was a beautiful moment for me personally, and just representation mattering for everyone. We also had a first Asian win in one of the smaller technical categories tonight, which was also wonderful. Jordan Peele is the first ever African American to win for Best Original Screenplay. Wonderful. Mary J. Blige being the first ever nominated for both Best Original Song and an Acting category in the same year. Beautiful. So we had a lot of great things to celebrate. Our first female cinematographer nominated. Amazing. Our first female of color nominated for a screenwriting credit. Amazing. So, great stuff across the board in a lot of these categories, and it was just nice to see a lot of these people win. In saying that, the best speech of the night for me, hands down, easily, was Frances McDormand. She came up to accept her very much predictable win for Best Lead Actress, and she killed it. Let me just say, I was personally rooting for someone else to win Best Leading Actress, but I'm so glad that Frances did win, and she was the alternative to Sally Hawkins, because her speeches all season long have been amazing. And this one was the best yet. I think it is so fantastic to not only want to recognize the other actresses in the room that are in your category, or just the other actresses, period. She straight up said every single female in this room that is nominated tonight on anything, costume, production design, any sort of behind-the-scenes camera work, stand up and be recognized right now. All of you people look around, hear our voices, and I just thought it was an amazing thing to see. She said something like inclusion writer, representation writer, something to that effect at the end of her speech. She's amazing. She's an amazing woman who has been championing young talent over herself in her speeches, and I thought she championed women in the industry beautifully tonight. Her speech was fantastic, by far the best speech of the night, and really one of the better speeches in recent memory. I also thought the Oscars brought some great montages this year, which was fantastic. So they always have these film montages, but the ones this year seem to be really poignant, really well put together. They brought their A game for the 90th. So kudos to whoever brought up those montages. They were wonderful. As for the best original song performances, I enjoyed most of them. I saw a lot of people kind of roasting them online. I thought everybody did well. Mary J. Blige looked stunning. I loved everything, head to toe. I kind of wish that actually with her red carpet look, she looks so wonderful. And she just savored the moment. You can see what that song meant to her and what that night meant to her. She's a legend in the music business, and it was beautiful to see. And she sounded wonderful as well. When it came to Remember Me, poor Gael Garcia Bernal, ooh, that was rough to sit through the beginning of that. But once we got to like the Miguel stuff, I wish there was more Spanish. I wish we had got that Spanish rendition more prominently throughout. But I thought the stage looked beautiful, the dancing, and all of the Spanish influence was wonderful. Mystery of Love was okay. It didn't sound as great as I had hoped. I don't think that Sufjan Stevens and St. Vincent meshed as well as they had hoped. And they also did a really short version. They didn't even go through the final verse of the song, which was a huge disappointment because that was my favorite of the nominees. I loved it. So it was all just kind of a performance to me. We didn't even get like Call Me By Your Name clips in the back. I was a little bit underwhelmed. When we got to Common and Andrade, wonderful. Andrade, she killed it. Those vocals from her were absolutely amazing. I thought she just sounded wonderful. Common was great. It all worked. I think This Is Me stole the night when it came to the performances, though. Keala Settle just killed it vocally as well. You can feel the emotion getting a little bit of her as she got into like the kind of screamy parts, and she kind of screamed a little bit. But it was emotion. And I thought it was beautiful that she was really accepting that moment and living in it. They had that choreography from the film. It was so impactful. I loved it and thought it was definitely the best performance. So as we get into talking kind of about the winners of the evening, we're going to kick off with something that may or may not be controversial to people, but kind of highlighted Hollywood's hypocrisy and how they really only care about themselves and pay attention to themselves, because they proceeded to award Dear Basketball, produced by Kobe Bryant, about Kobe Bryant, for Best Animated Short Film tonight. And they had the audacity to do that in the same night that they proceeded to do this whole Me Too, Time's Up inclusion segment. And that segment would have been all fine and dandy and beautiful. I love Greta Gerwig's message in there. But you're really going to do that after you just awarded Kobe Bryant an award? We're going to just pretend that he didn't have a pretty big rape allegation thrown at him here in my home city of Denver, Colorado, and that was paid off. I mean, it wasn't even tried and found innocent. It wasn't taken to court. It was paid off. Like, it was swept under the rug thanks to his immense amount of money. I mean, this honestly is like giving Ben Roethlisberger an award for going up there, writing an ode to himself about football with his very rape-tastic past. I found it in very poor taste. They did it with Casey Affleck last year, right before all this Me Too stuff became cool and popular. They awarded Casey Affleck, who also kind of paid to get things off the board. And thankfully, he was not there tonight. I don't know if by his own decision, because it would have been a PR nightmare for him, or if the Oscars actually did take a stand. But I thought it was horrible to award Kobe Bryant. And it was definitely the low point of the evening, hearing that get called out. Yeah, shame on you, Oscars, is what I would say there. So when it comes to the actual winners of the evening, my predictions were okay. I've definitely done better, but I could have done worse. I got a total of 17 correct out of a possible 24. And I'm not too mad about it. Some huge highlights of the evening for me were seeing Roger Deakins finally win his award for Best Cinematography 14 times. But we're there. We're finally on the board, Deakins. And he did it for Blade Runner 2049, which I thought was a more than deserving film. Speaking on Blade Runner 2049, though, I was actually pretty disappointed that they awarded it Best Visual Effects. War for the Planet of the Apes was nominated there, and if you have even seen the trailers and promotional materials for these films, the whole trilogy of these new Planet of the Apes, those apes are amazing. Like, the animation done to bring them to life, the motion capture work done there has been revolutionary for the entire industry. And the fact that all three of them lost for Best Visual Effects is absolutely mind-blowing. They are essential to the emotional core of the franchise, and bringing these movies to life. Movies that aren't just, sci-fi Planet of the Apes movies. A trilogy that goes down as possibly one of the best film trilogies in history by all measures. Critical, a lot of fans would agree. So I was just very, very disheartened to see them completely shut them out for this amazing work, like literally game-changing work that was done on that series. But I did predict they would do it, and they did. I was also sad to see another, suspicion of mine come true, with Dunkirk just knocking poor Baby Driver out of the conversation. Baby Driver should have won sound mixing. Period, point blank. People can argue with me until their faces turn blue. You're not going to change my mind, and I'm probably not going to change yours. Baby Driver deserved sound mixing. Dunkirk deserved sound editing. I think Baby Driver deserved editing, film editing as well, because Dunkirk was a little bit all over the place, confusing. It worked and didn't work all at once, but we won't get into that. I was just sad to see Baby Driver completely left out in lieu of giving all of those awards to Dunkirk. And then there were all the awards in which we all pretty much knew who was going to win. Best Animated Feature went to Coco. All 4 acting categories went as expected. Supporting Actor, Sam Rockwell. Supporting Actress, Allison Janney. Best Actor, Gary Oldman. Best Actress, Frances McDormand. Again, I was a little bit disappointed, in particular with Gary Oldman winning, but we knew what was on its way. Best Director going to Guillermo del Toro. Completely expected. Adapted Screenplay was another one that was pretty much a lock for Call Me By Your Name. I'm so glad it won there, because as anticipated, that was its only chance to get on the board. However, when we jumped over to Best Original Screenplay, my favorite upset of the night occurred with Get Out, taking it away from 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. I was so happy. I was hoping, just fingers crossed, that Get Out would find a way to win Best Original Screenplay. It had the best screenplay to me, and I was so excited, literally jumping up and down, pumped that Get Out won for screenplay. So you go, Jordan Peele, you're now an Oscar winner, so deservedly so. And that was one I was happy to be wrong in my predictions on, but yes. And then we get to Best Picture, and I was just also so thrilled that The Shape of Water, which was my prediction, ended up winning Best Picture. If you've watched my Best Picture nominees ranking video, or if you've even watched my top 10 movies of 2017 video, you'll see that it was almost, but not quite my favorite Best Picture nominee. Of course, I would have loved for Call Me By Your Name to win the award, but there was no shot. It had 0% chance of winning. So I was so happy that The Shape of Water won. I think overall, just as a rounded film, the ones in contention, it was the best one and the one most deserving to win. So there you have it. And Warren Beatty, he flubbed getting that little card out the envelope, but they very clearly marked those envelopes this year, so you could see on the front what the category was. So we didn't have any mistakes announcing any winners this year. So that is my recap and review of the 2018 90th Annual Academy Awards. What did you think of my thoughts and what I had to say about the fashions, the biggest and best moments of the night, as well as the winners? And what were your thoughts on the overall show that we just watched? Let me know either in the comment section down below, or you can hit me up on Twitter. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead, click like, and subscribe to the channel so you are always up to date on our latest videos. I love you all so much for your support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!